Hello, I am greetings from your host of the Raycon Diecast Cup Series. Here we are at Everett Motor Studio for the fourth race of the season. And now, let's take a look at the drivers to watch for. The first driver to watch out for in today's event is the 95 of Harrison Burton. He, along with Dillon, just picked up a sponsorship that'll run him through the whole entire season. So, 95 has got a full-time car. It's going against Alex Bowman in the first round of the 48, whose car still has not came yet. And let's see what Burton can do. Another driver to watch out for is the 23 of Bubba Wallace, driving the Sweet Frog, number 23 Toyota Camry. This car is a brand new scheme, has not run it. The 23 DoorDash car did not run so well. There's a problem somehow with the 23 DoorDash car when it ran on wood the first race. So he's bringing out the Sweet Frog 23. Let's see what happens. Another threat is the 14 of Chase Briscoe. He has won 2 in a row. Won the last race on wood, and your points leader by a solid margin. I don't know of anybody else who's as big of a threat today to win this race as the 14 car. And finally, it's the 9 and the 66. The 9 of Chase Elliott finally had his first. His best run of the season in the same car, and the 66 is trying to get out of this round 1 slump. He has not won a round 1 race since the first race at Daytona. Let's see if he can pull it off here in the Samsung 400. And then the last driver to look out for is the 8 of Tyler Reddick. He's starting in the last row. And what can he pull off from the last row? Can he possibly win the race and join the 14 with 2 wins this season? They've dominated. The 8 hasn't won since Daytona. I think there's several other drivers that haven't won at all. But the 8 is looking to get out of the slump. He's been struggling as of late. But can the 8 come out of nowhere and win this race? See what happens. We already know this, but currently the points leader is the 14 of Chase Briscoe. He's got 71 points as the point standings have changed after week 3 to hopefully for some of the other drivers to run down. So currently round 1 gets 0 and round 2 winners get 10. So look out for the 14. Next up is the 24 of William Byron, currently running in the second spot. He's got quite a while to make up on your points leader, but he is currently sitting really good right now for points. He's currently running second. Byron has yet to win a race this year, but he's still beating someone who has won, and that is the 8 car. And the other car that is doing really well in points as of late is this 8 of Tyler Reddick. He's hasn't made it past round 4 ever since that win at Daytona, but can he pull anything else off in this number 8 real street car? So, I think let's get ready to start this race. We've got the drivers to look out for. We've got pretty much everything. I think all we're missing is a little bit of action. Let's get right into it. And now, first up for round 1, pole sitter Joey Logano, the 5 of Kyle Larson, hopefully trying to get a win this season for the first time. And it's going to be Larson getting the win, his first win of the season. Next up is the 16 of AJ Allmendinger versus the 38 of Anthony Alfredo. And around they go, but Alfredo still beats Allmendinger. Next up, we have Harrison Burton, the 95, versus Alex Bowman, the 48. And Harrison Burton, no win. Next battle, we have Chris Bush in the 17 versus JJ Yeo in the 55. And it looks like Buescher. Oh, that's closer than I thought. Is it? Oh, yep, it's Buescher. Next up is the 51 of Cody Ware and the 33 of Austin Cindric. Cody coming off one of his best runs. Austin still looking for his. And it's Cindric knocking off Cody Ware. Next up is the 11 of Denny Hamlin versus the 20 of Christopher Bell. And it's Bell getting the win. Next up, we have Michael McDowell in the 34 versus BJ McLeod in the 78. Neither of them did very good, but still BJ getting the win. Next up is Pointer Chase Briscoe versus the 19 of Martin Truex. Oh, and Martin was so close, but it's Briscoe getting the win. Next up is Ty Dillon versus Kevin Harvick. And Harvick wins by a landslide. Next up is the 32 of Josh Bilicki versus the 77 of Justin Haley. That's really close, but it looks like Bilicki knocks off the Haley. Next up is the 99 of Daniel Suarez versus the 1 of Kurt Busch. And Suarez beats Kurt Busch easily. Next up is the 6 of Ryan Newman versus the 9 of Chase Elliott. And Elliott ran Newman into the wall, but Elliott will win. Next up is the 18 of Kyle Busch versus the 66 of Timmy Hill. And it's Timmy Hill winning by a mile. Next up is Ryan Blaney in the 12 versus Eric Jones in the 43. And Blaney flips and he still wins. Next up is Eric Almerola versus Brad Keselowski. And that's going to be Keselowski. Next up is the 7 of Corey LaJoie versus the 15 of James Davison. And it's LaJoie winning. Next up is the 41 of Cole Custer versus the 23 of Wallace. And it's Bubba getting the win over Custer. Next up is William Byron in the 24 versus the 3 of Austin Dillon. And it's Byron getting the win. Next up is Ross Chastain in the 42 versus Ryan Preece in the 37. And it's going to be Ross Chastain winning. Next up we have the 40 of Garrett Smithley versus the 21 of Matt DiBenedetto. And it's going to be Matty D winning, not by much. Next up is the 47 of Stenhouse versus the 8 of Tyler Reddick. Another rematch. Stenhouse beat Reddick in the last time they met at the other Wooden Speedway. And that won't happen again as Reddick murders Stenhouse. So, here are the cars that advanced to round 2. They will get 10 points, so that's a huge boost for some of these guys that have yet to win. Especially for the 33. 33 needed that, along with the 78. In the first race of round 2, we have Kyle Larson. First time we say his name all year in this category. To Anthony Alfredo. And it's Kyle Larson. Another win for the 5. Next up is the 95 of Harrison Burton versus 17 of Ricky Stenhouse. Not Ricky Stenhouse, that's Chris Buescher getting the win. Sorry about that. Next up is the 33 of Austin Cindric versus the 20 of Bell. Bell got his first round 1 win. Can he continue that streak? And yes, he can. Bell moves on. Next up is the 78 of BJ McLeod versus the 14 of Chase Briscoe. Can BJ upset your points leader? No, he can't. Briscoe wins. Next up is the 4 of Kevin Harvick versus the 32 of Josh Bilicki. And it's Balicki beating Harvick. Next up, we have the 99 of Daniel Suarez versus the 9 of Chase Elliott. And it's Suarez upsetting Elliott. Next up, we have the 66 of Timmy Hill versus the 12 of Ryan Blaney. And it's going to be Blaney beating Timmy Hill. Next up is the 2 of Brad Keselowski versus the 7 of Corey LaJoie. And Keselowski immediately flips as LaJoie knocks him off. Next up is the 23 of Bubba Wallace versus the 24 of William Byron. And it's Byron beating Bubba Wallace. Next up is the 42 of Ross Chastain versus the 21 of Matt Benedetto. And it's going to be Matty D knocking off Chastain. Who is going to join Tyler Reddick in round 2? Kevin Harvick in the 4. Next up, we have the 5 of Kyle Larson versus the 17 of Chris Buescher. I said Stenhouse originally. See what happens. And Larson did not get a very good start, but Stenhouse will win. Not Buescher will win. Next up is the 14 of Briscoe versus the 20 of Christopher Bell. And it's Bell knocking off Chase Briscoe, your points leader. Next up is the 32 of Josh Balicki versus the 99 of Daniel Suarez. And it's Josh Balicki over Suarez easily. Next up is the 12 of Ryan Blaney versus the 7 of Corey LaJoie. And it's Ryan Blaney and not even close. Next up is the 24 of William Byron. It's the 21 of Matt Benedetto. And it's Matty D knocking off Byron. Next up is the 4 of Harvick versus the 8 of Reddick. Reddick's got a lot of pressure on him. This round is dominated by Fords. Only one non-Ford has made it past, and that's Christopher Bell. And it's Harvick. How about that? In the first match of round 4, we have Chris Buescher versus Christopher Bell. And it's Buescher, and it's not close. Next up, we have the 32 of Josh Balicki versus the 12 of Ryan Blaney. And that is Blaney. Next up is the 21 of Matt Benedetto versus the 4 of Kevin Harvick. And it's Matty D beating Harvick. Who's gonna join Matty D in the semis? It is the 20 car. Next up is the 17 of Buescher versus the 12 of Blaney. It is Buescher. How about the 17 car? And now, who will join Buescher? Will it be the 21 of Matt Benedetto or the 20 of Christopher Bell? Oh, it's just so close. Who is it? It looks like it's Matty D. Matty D wins it. Just to see. And yes, it is. And just so you know, I'm not lying. Matty D did win. That's how close it was. These are your 2 championship contending Fords. Ford has won 3 of the last 2 races. It's going to be another Ford, but it's not going to be with the last name Briscoe. First race. 17 in lane 1, 21 in lane 2. And it's Matty D winning the first race. Alright, now we switch lanes. This is Buescher. This last shot. And it's not gonna be Buescher, it's the 21. Matty D wins.